The devil's on the loose and he's dancing with the mummy.
Deep from the bowels of the Macabre Theater Laboratory, we bring you Macabre Cast. Doc Mark and Karis, the Little Mummy, here to bring you another episode of Macabre Cast, where we'll be dropping R's where they belong and adding them where they don't. There is nothing wrong with your YouTube dial. You are exactly where you should be. Macabrecast. Hello, Karis. Newbies, welcome. Regulars, welcome back. And worshippers, get out of here. If you do not already, please subscribe and follow Dark Mark on YouTube. Okay? And tell a friend. Or tell an enemy. And that way they can snoop on you and to see what you're watching. Big show, some old faces coming at you.
First, some levity. Why do vampires not want to become investment bankers?
I don't know, Karis the Funny Mummy. Why do vampires not want to become investment bankers? Do tell.
They hate stakeholders.
And on that sour note, it's time for horror news.
Life's river shall rise, she said, open only the strong shall survive, she said, but I'm feeling quite weak, she said.
Night of the Juggler, the long-time unavailable 1980 cult thriller, is getting the 4K treatment. At this time, there is no release date that has been announced. Sam Raimi returns to the horror field with a film called Send Help, with a release date of January 30th, 2026. Joe Bob Briggs' Last Drive-In returns with Season 7 in March. Last year, the format changed from double features to single. This year's plan is for a monthly double feature, so take a nap on those days. And that's it for horror news. And Brownie agrees. Brownie, the corpse-sniffing dog.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Okay, so I'm going to get this out there right now, and who knows, probably even take a beating for it. We're going to talk about Tin and Tina, because I finally saw this too. And I don't know that I saw all the rage that Grim Kim and Tina from Chicago saw. I mean, I get it. That movie was very creepy. A lot of suspense. Didn't know what was coming next. But I had a lot of problems. I can't even discuss what the problems are because a lot of it has to do with the end. Maybe I could say, without giving things away, the acceptance that came in at the end, really? I mean, do I have to go through the list of things? The dog, the baby, acceptance? But other than that, it was very creepy. And I know there's one thing I could go the rest of my life without ever hearing again.
Un gran mago del Oriente, King Cancún, el adivino, me enseñó su plan secreto, que era el super disco chino.
What you talking about, Kimberly?
So when I always say a movie that has you thinking about it days and weeks later is the sign of a good movie, sometimes you're thinking about a movie days later, not all for the right reasons. Anyway, if I was to push a big movie this year, and I've already mentioned it before many times, is Red Rooms, that's still on Shudder. That movie, that's my Gaga movie, kind of the way Grim Kim and Tina from Chicago were about Tin and Tina. But Tin and Tina, even though I felt was creepy and suspenseful, yeah, just not for me. I would definitely recommend Red Rooms. over Tin and Tina.
Horrible mention.
It's been a while since we've had a horrible mention, and this heap of poo trash is certainly worthy. 1986's Chopping Mall. An hour and 17 minutes of my youth that is gone forever. I was subjected to a group of teen employees who stayed behind one night for some after-hour fun. But oh no, the mall robot security system malfunctions, and the robots go on a killing spree. My biggest complaint was I wish they could have killed the kids off quicker and maybe shaved this dump heap down to about an hour and 2 minutes. Why the 2 minutes, you say? I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling nice. Do you have a horrible mention that you'd like to tell us about? We're dying to hear it. And now, back by popular demand, the Lamia of Poland
Margorzata.
Hello, I hope you missed me. This is me, your Yaga. Well, what can I tell you? Now we have a time of carnival. We call it Zapusta, where I came from. Well, normally we eat a lot of fat and meaty stuff. Carnival also means meat, though. I don't know why you're supposed to later say far away to the meat. Well, some people might, some no. I'm definitely in here in the second part, especially if these meats come from very fatty, naughty babies. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for that. So, are you one of them?
Every time the Lamia of Poland Margorzata calls in, I get a little scared.
What are you worried about, Karis? You heard her. She likes to eat the fat of naughty babies. You haven't had a pound of flesh on you for about 3,000 years. And, besides, look at this neat artwork she sent in. She's always sending in the artwork, and it's really something else. Thank you, Margorzata, Lamia of Poland. Hope to hear from you again soon. So over the past week on Not Bad for Netflix, I happened to catch the movie Nefarious from 2023. Dr. James Martin is psychologically evaluating serial killer Edward Brady, who, if found sane, will be executed that night at 11 p.m. Brady claims that the person he is talking to is only the host of a demon called Nefarious. This is a good film and worth the watch. Strong acting and well executed, pardon the pun. It's hard not to see a young Christopher Reeve in the face of Jordan Belfi, who plays Dr. James. Doc Mark recommends.
And now, from the 7th plateau of Horrorwood Hell, Macabre Theater Entertainment brings you Twins of Evil, with everyone's favorite ghoul gals, Grim Kim and Grim Twin Chris. Without further ado, here are the Twins of Evil.
Come play with us, Marky, forever and ever and ever.
Coming at ya, the Twins of Evil.
Special edition, because we just watched our namesake and we're here with a hot take on
The Twins of Evil. Hammer Production.
1971. Okay, Which one are you, Maria or Frida?
I'll be Maria. I'll be Mother Mary Maria, the wholesome one who is not a twin of evil, but who is duped into becoming a twin of evil.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to take umbrage with that right off the bat, okay? This is why twins have Brownie's here. Hello, Brownie. Yes, we forgot to introduce you too. We forgot, this is why twins have identity crises. They're telling Maria she's a twin of evil. At the end of the movie, she gets swapped out. They're about to burn her at the stake, and they're like, no, it's the wrong twin. No one can believe them unless she can look at the cross and not burn and hiss at it. Anyway, we just we put it on. It had mentioned this was one of the highest rating Hammer classics there are. It's the third of a trilogy. I don't know that I'll go back and watch the other two. Mark, do you have a favorite out of this vampire trilogy of Hammers, the culminating with the Twins of Evil? We found that it was enjoyable as a standalone movie.
Oh, yes.
It did reference, you could tell other parts were referencing the other movies that came before it.
Yes.
There were 4 reasons we could surmise that these twins won the role of Frida and Maria. There was a lot of heaving bosom, silhouetted undressing.
To say it's a bodice ripper is, yes, accurate.
It was fantastic.
The costumes in this show, the production quality of this movie is unbelievable. The sets, the props, the costumes are like beyond. I'm like really super impressed, and makes me want to go watch other Hammer productions. And my sister is telling me that this is something that they're known for, is their production quality.
Yeah, I wonder how many are in the whole like Hammer universe, but they all have this same feel to them, you know what I mean? And I think it was listed as horror erotic. Okay. The one scene that came up, and we were just cackling like a couple witches when... Which one was it? One of them... Okay, it was another blonde.
No, it wasn't. It was
another blonde,
It was the
right?
sacrifice.
Yes, she was about to get it on with Count Constantine, a.k.a. Dracul. And they're like having a little love scene, and she reaches back and she grabs hold of the candlestick up behind her head, and she's firmly grasping this candlestick. And then she puts her hand up and down on it. It was just so ridiculous. It was just crazy, and we loved it. It made our whole morning. It was absolutely fantastic. At the end, the one twin Frida comes back from Dracula's castle. She is now actually a twin of evil.
Yes.
But they go to switch her out with Maria, so she can do her dastardly bidding in the village, and no one's going to know. And she's about to bed Anton, the big masculine guy, and hold on, she has to undo her negligee first, and he pulls out a cross, and isn't she getting whipped back and forth on that bed? Her breasts heaving left, right, center. And you just know this crucifix is going to get flicked on her boobie. It did. Just for a moment. Then it landed on the hand.
Burning flesh.
And it was just like, you could tell he's like, I still want to hit it, but I just don't want to die.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so.
This is a funny movie, and maybe this is typical of this type. It's a mashup between a witch hunting story set in the days of the Pilgrims with Count Dracula. So they just mashed that right up together. There is a lot of witch hunting. One witch is more beautiful than the next. They trundle them through the village, and they put them on the pyre, and there's lots of, sexy gnashing of teeth.
That's the thing. They never did say how many witches or vampiresses there really were. Really. None. Okay. So, but
none.
But the caretaker guy, remember, they found him in the cemetery, and he had his neck bit. Do you think that was just Count Constantine that did that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So, yeah, it was, and by the end, Anton's like, the Brotherhood, like, dudes, get your heads out of your ass. Why are you trying to persecute women when Dracula lives in his castle? It's like 100 yards away. Like, what's wrong?
And stop burning these people. Burning's not going to do it. He just kept saying, you've
Right.
got to decapitate them or a wooden stake through the heart. I mean, he couldn't tell them many times. They wouldn't listen.
But the Puritan uncles say they must be, purified by the burn, and then they can go to heaven. And so it was funny because by the end, I actually felt compassion for the uncle. He had to make a decision and, to kill one of his vampirist, nieces. And
the great Peter Cushing playing the uncle.
We should have opened with that. Shame on us.
That's okay.
Chris ended up, he's got like 100 vampire movies in his category, so it's a little tough, but it was a great role. And to give that, I felt like some human emotions for this poor guy, Torn, that he's like, no one wanted to listen to me. I told you that someone was sucking the blood out of people's necks. Nobody wanted to listen to me, and he was misdirected in his attempts because it was just misogyny was just the way of life. Still is. So anyway, he got a little, waylaid by that. But by the end, when he has to sacrifice one of the vampires, aka one of his nieces, he does feel bad. And the consolation is if he chops her head off or impales her with her heart, if there was any goodness left in her soul, she was going to be able to go to heaven, ascend to heaven. And boy, at the end, he chops her head off lickety split, doesn't he?
He must have had a really sharp blade.
He had a very sharp blade.
Strength.
And then he's holding her head as if it was like a
pineapple.
Well, it was like the head of Medusa sitting there.
Yeah.
And it was like, it looked a little paper mache, but they didn't show it enough. It passed. I agree. The set design and everything, it was a lot of rolling fog everywhere. There was one exterior scene, and it was supposed to be a nighttime scene, and we were just like, oh, it's interesting. The movie's old enough that they really couldn't do the nighttime exterior photography well enough to, And anyway, it was like dappled sunlight, daytime scene. It was supposed to be nighttime, and you just have to suspend your, you just have to roll with it. That was the 60s for you. So we had a wonderful time. Mark, we almost watched My Bloody Valentine. I noticed you did watch it again last night. I know it's one of your favorites. I told you I wasn't in the mood for a slasher, but we threw this on this morning, and I was showing my sister a picture of what the Twins of Evil actually look like, and then we're like, oh, we have to watch this. It was fantastic. How many stars do you give this movie, Chris?
Out of what?
5.
Oh, wow. I don't have a lot of baseline, so I'll just go ahead and give it a 4.
I'm going to give it a solid 4, too. Absolutely.
Bravo. The Twins of Evil reviewing the film I coined their name from. Does it get any better than this? Don't answer that hard chat, Matt. Grim Kim, Grim Twin. This is a Hammer Films production, and there is no casual way I can simply talk about the trilogy of films Twins of Evil. It deserves more of a, deep dive. Today's deep depth dive is the Karnstein Trilogy, The Vampire Lovers from 1970, Lust for a Vampire, 1971, and Twins of Evil, also 1971. Hammer had used and reused its ideas so many times since 1958 that this trilogy was something of a breath of fresh air, but it also ran against a Hollywood that very much had changed and had become more exploitive. So in order to keep up with the Joneses, Hammer intertwined lesbian themes throughout their plots. The Vampire Lovers from 1970 is about Countess Marcella Karnstein. Marcella is an anagram for Carmilla from the famous novella by Sheridan Le Fanu, starring the famous Polish-born actress Ingrid Pitt. Next in this demonic threefer is Lust for a Vampire from 1971, the weakest of the three, but understand that I'm not saying I dislike this film. Also loosely based on the novella Carmilla, It's really only the Karnstein name that is the true connection of the trilogy. A gentleman comes to the village to get background for his books about witches, vampires, and black magic. Of course, he's warned of the Karnstein castle, but pays no mind. And a girl is found dead with 2 holes in her neck. Could this be the Karnstein legend? Could it be true? And a bit of trivia from this one. On the close-up of Count Karnstein's eyes, played by Mike Raven, well, they're not his eyes at all, but a close-up of Christopher Lee's eyes from Scars of Dracula. They were going to get Christopher in this trilogy one way or another. Peter Cushing was slated to be in Lust for a Vampire, but had to tend to his ailing wife. Ralph Bates instead took the role. And last but certainly not least, Twins of Evil, also released in 1971. I won't recap what was already so lavishly done by Grim Kim and Grim Twin, except to say that you should have started with Peter Cushing. Regardless of how bad a script could be, Cushing always brings his A-game. Twins of Evil is most definitely my favorite of this trilogy. Any one of these work as a single standalone. And as I've said before, the only real connection is the Karnstein name. Mary and Madeline Collinson were from Malta and had very strong Maltese accents. Like most foreign actors in Hammer Productions, their dialogue was dubbed. The Collinson twins were the first ever twin playmates to pose for Playboy magazine. So there's your answer, Grim Twins, on how Hammer picked its Twins of Evil. Deep, death, dive.
If you live in a small town, you might meet a dozen or two young alien types who step out and dare to declare, we're through being cool, we're through being cool. Spank the paint who tried to drive you nuts.
On episode 92, Scary Larry reviewed the Stepfather movies. And I have Maria Monsterleia on the line here, and she'd like to weigh in and give her opinion of those films.
Terry O'Quinn played the part of the stepfather perfectly. His performance could switch on a dime. Kept me glued. Check it out along with the sequels.
And Maria Monsterleia is no stranger to Macabre Cast. Back in the beginning, when we first started out over a year ago, she sent in a picture of her wearing her horror merch. Thank you for calling in, Maria. So good to hear from you and your opinion on the Stepfather films.
I'm knocking at the door. Somebody ringing the bell. Someone's knocking at the door. Somebody ringing the bell. Do me a favor, open the door and let him in. Let's talk. Won't you tell me what is wrong? Yeah, let's talk.
Hey, Doc Mark, Little Karis, and all the monster kids hanging out at the Macabre there. It's Horror Chat Matt. Check. Hey, Doc, I gotta tell you, I was really excited to see the runtime for this week's episode. Nothing makes me happier than an extra length episode, especially on these cold, dark, snowy winter days. Really helped pass the time. And it got me thinking, what are some of my favorite winter setting horror movies that are out there? And 3 real quick, kind of obvious, but I really liked The First 30 Days a Night. Was a great comic book, and I thought the movie was a pretty good adaptation. They stayed pretty true to the comic, except they made a couple of changes here or there, but overall very faithful, and actually made vampires a pretty scary character, as sometimes they can be a little boring. Up next is the original Black Christmas. I think they did an excellent job setting the stage for a chilly Christmas winter themed movie, and we've talked about it before, so I'm not going to go into too much more detail, but Black Christmas is a classic for a reason. And then the number one answer, I think, is fairly obvious. You cannot go wrong with John Carpenter's The Thing. Isolated, freezing, weather that'll kill you more than the alien if you're not careful. Just a all-time great movie, horror or sci-fi, regardless. It's just a phenomenal movie. So those are my 3 picks, Stark. How about yourself or some of the other Monster Kids? What are some of your favorite snowy setting horror movies to get us through this cold winter, and hopefully that warm weather will get here soon enough and we can make a trip out to Camp Crystal Lake and set up our campsite for some warm weather fun. As always, make my Macabrecast.
All right, chat. Those are great winter picks. I'm in complete agreement with all 3 of those picks. Probably especially The Thing. But I'm almost wondering if you left out the godfather of winter films because you knew I'd want to pick it. How do you leave out The Shining? Right? That's got to be my number 1 is The Shining. And I know I beat this like a dead horse all the time with The Shining, The Shining, The Shining. But just the scenes where they were in the Colorado Lounge and you can hear that howling wind in the background. It's the winter movie of all winter movies. Next for me would be Silent Night, Deadly Night. Gotta go with that one. Another classic, another favorite of mine. And then last, probably Krampus. Talk about being snowed in and storms of the century and monsters outside. Yeah, Krampus has got to be it. So that's my 3. Shining, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Krampus.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is definitely a public service announcement.
Then I ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus.
They say dress for success, and, well, I agree. But what better way to show who you really are than with horror merch? You could sport your very own Macabrecast t-shirt. Or maybe, baby, it's cold outside. Then snag a Macabrecast beanie. Look how much cooler Grim Kim looks. And her head is warm, too. T-shirts $13, beanies $25. Both prices include your shipping.
Is this something you could share with the rest of us, Amazing Larry?
Greetings, Dark Mark and Karis, a little mummy. Scary Larry here. Now, I did not watch a new movie to review this week, so it's going to be a little different. Back in 2013, I heard a radio DJ proclaim that he watches 100 horror movies every Halloween season, and I thought, I can do that. Well, I started that year too late to hit the goal. So starting in 2014, I made it my mission to watch 100 horror movies I hadn't seen before. I did this for 10 years straight, leading to me watching over 1,000 new-to-me horror movies. So this week, I'm going to list my favorite from each year, and next week, I'll give the worst ones from each year. So when you hear the year, it's not when the movie came out, it's the year I first watched it. Okay, here we go. 2014, Satan's Little Helper. Dark recently spoke of this, so I'll confidently say we both recommend it. 2015, Would You Rather? A dark take on this game. The prize is large, and the stakes could not be deadlier. 2016, hands down, Krampus. And this was a tough call because I watched some really good ones that year. 2017, sometimes I like my horror stupidly funny. Frankenhooker was a top one for 2017. 2018, Descent. Good movie and effects. There's a darker ending in the original. I recommend finding that one. 2019, Cemetery Man. I caught this at the After Midnight show at the Coolidge Corner Theater. Worth staying up for. 2020, The Mist. Dark ending. Apparently, Stephen King quipped it's a rare time where a movie ending was darker than in his book. 2021. This was another tough choice for me. It fell between Jacob's Wife and Boy Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, with Jacob's Wife for the win. 2022, no contest, Terrifier 2. 2023, finally, Totally Killer. I love how they captured the 80s high school. I had exceeded my goals, and so last season I just sat back and enjoyed movies. I didn't record them, didn't write them down, didn't really keep track. I just, for a change, enjoyed the movies with nothing in mind, no marathon to hit, no goals, no nothing. Talk to you guys next week.
You know, Laura Harr had pointed out at one point, she said, you know, you and Scary Larry don't really agree on a whole lot. But, you know, I don't think so much that that's true. We definitely have different tastes when it comes to different things. And I think by this list alone, you can figure it out. 5 of these movies I like. 3 I don't like, and 2 I haven't seen. So the 2 I haven't seen would be the movies Would You Rather and The Descent. Grim Kim right now is wigging out because she can't believe I have never seen The Descent. The 3 I didn't like was Frankenhooker, Cemetery Man, and Jacob's Wife. And just pointing those out, you can see where I go this way and Scary goes that way. But as always, Scary Larry, thank you so much for all you do, and thank you for seeing it so we don't have to. Breaking horror news, and a sad one at that. Reggie Bannister, star of the Phantasm franchise, is entering hospice as we speak.
Hey, Doc, that chick, Metal Melody, she's on the line.
Totally. Yeah, I know, like, totally. I mean, like, you know? Oh my god, like, you know, like, it was, like, so totally.
Hello, Doc, Mark, and the Monster Kids. And I don't know who Little Karis is. You'll have to fill me in on that one.
Wait, what? What'd she say?
It's been weeks and I'm, like, still getting to know what and who things are. I don't have too much to report on horror this week. But I hope everybody had a good Valentine's Day weekend. I did. I took myself to dinner and enjoyed very much. I'm laughing because when I was listening to the episode, I'm laughing at myself because in there I said something like, I wouldn't have died if I'd never seen it. Like implying that I, am dead. But, I meant like I could have died without seeing it. I said it wrong, and sometimes I'm just, I don't know. What can I tell you? Sorry also about, dumping the ending on Tin and Tina. I forget with my big mouth that like some people haven't seen it yet. I'll try not to do that in the future. I saw Stepfather 3, and I honestly didn't care for it. I didn't like his acting in it, and I don't know. I just didn't think it was very good, Let me see what else. Oh, yeah, and that Monkey, whatever the hell it's called. I'll probably go to the movies with my sister this weekend and see that. So, yeah, that's about that. I'm watching Bad Moon right now, stupid movie. But I hope everybody has had a good week too. I hope you all have a good weekend coming up. And can't wait to hear the episode next week. Episode 93 or 94. I'm not sure. But I can't wait to hear it. And that's it. That's all for now. Bye-bye. Okay, I just wanted to add that I know Karis is the little mummy, and I know Karis tells funny, cute little quirky jokes here and there, but is Karis a girl, Karis, or a boy, Karis? And who is Karis's voice? And how did Karis come to be part of the show? I want to know. Because, obviously I hopped on late and wasn't here at the beginning. Although, probably if I start at the very first one, I'll probably answer my own friggin' question, won't I? All right, never mind. Bye.
Yeah, I got an answer for you. Binge watch, baby. Episode 1 and go. Binge watch. Yeesh.
We look forward to hearing from you, Metal Melody. Even if you don't know who everyone is here, hope to hear from you again soon. Well, 5 more episodes before we reach 100. I'd be lying if I didn't say how pleased I am with what Macabrecast has become. I know I'm always pushing for more subscribers, but I think this sanctuary is very adoring to the ones who have found it, the ones who realize we are not alone. That no matter how bad things get, this is escape, even only for a little while. Remember, be good to yourself. This is Dark Mark, signing off. See you soon. I hope.
This is a Macabre Theater production. Macabrecast.